Hello, everyone. Welcome. If you are an incoming MPH student for fall 2021 or the 2021-2022 academic year, you are in the right place. If you are an MS or doctoral student, please go back to the D2L page. Your presentation is in a different link. But hopefully everyone here is an MPH student. So this presentation is by me, Tanya Nemec, and Kim Barnes, and it is on tips for success in the MPH program. Okay, so some quick notes about this presentation. It is being recorded. The recording will be posted on the Public Health Orientation D2L page within a couple of days. And so if you want to watch this again, or if you're watching this as a recording, hello, hi. And then we ask that you please type questions into the chat in D2L. We will try to answer them as we go along, but for sure we will answer them at the end, okay? And so we may answer some of your questions as we go through this presentation. And so if we do, we'll try to follow up, or maybe we just have already done that. So just a quick agenda about what we'll cover in today's session. We are going to do an introduction of the coordinators, of me and Kim, talk about email communications, some of the UA departments across campus. We'll talk about handbooks versus curriculum guides, interprofessional education activities, which is a requirement of the MPH degree, the applied practice experience and the internship, the integrated learning experience, why it's cool to be different. And then, of course, we'll have some time for question and answers. So coordinator introductions. My name is Tanya Nemec. I am the MPH program coordinator for Tucson-based programs. I am a two-time alum of the University of Arizona. I have my undergrad in psychology from U of A, and then I started to work at the College of Public Health, and I saw the really fantastic things that our students and staff and our faculty are doing. And it really encouraged me and prompted me to want to also get a public health degree. And so while I was working for the College of Public Health, I got my MPH. So I am an MPH alum in the Health Behavior Health Promotion concentration from 2015. And I have been with the College of Public Health and specifically the Office of Student Services for just about 11 years now. And I will let Kim introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kim Barnes, and I am the Director of Student Affairs for our Phoenix campus. So I work with public health practice, health services administration students from actually both campuses, and then our MD and PH students, along with the faculty and community organizations up here in Phoenix. I'm also an alum of the University of Arizona undergrads in Family Studies, Human Development, and Religious Studies, and then, as you see there, an MPH. So I'm a health behavior health promotion from 2008. So whenever I say that, it sort of shocks me a little bit. And I have actually been with the college doing student affairs with this college since 2010. So I'm coming up on my 11th year anniversary in just a few weeks as well. And so it's great to see you all. I see some Phoenix students here today, and I love to get to know the Tucson students as well. So welcome.
Wonderful. So a little bit about coordinators and advising and how that works in the MPH program. So there's a two-pronged advising structure within the MPH program. Each MPH student will be assigned a faculty mentor, and then you also have your MPH coordinator, me or Kim. And so essentially you have both of us that are helping to support you during your time in the MPH program, and the faculty mentor really assists with big picture things. So thinking about electives or even selectives. So electives are like very broad, not required courses that you can kind of select at will. Selective is maybe the concentration saying you need to choose, a certain number from this specific set of pre-approved classes. Your faculty mentor can help with those sorts of things based on your academic interests and your career goals and what kind of skills you want to build. They also really help with being a first point of contact for when you're starting to plan your internship. if you want to network, for career advising. So really those like big picture sort of things during your time here in the program. And then Kim and I really do academic advising. So you may have already talked with us a little bit about your schedule, about what kind of classes to take. You will likely do so throughout your program in your time here with us. And then we also do things, we help with policies, procedures, progress, all of the other P's, not the formal public health P's. And then with internship paperwork, with graduation paperwork and processes. And so sort of the like detail things. Can I do this? What happens if I do that? That's for Kim and I, and we can talk to you about that. Big picture sort of things you'll want to really go to your faculty mentor for. So you have both of us during your time here. And then just really quick, some commonly used terms. So you may hear either faculty or other entities on campus, maybe like financial aid or the graduate college say, you may want to talk with your graduate coordinator. That's Kim and I. So we are, that's us, graduate coordinator, MPH coordinator, those types of terms, it's synonymous. And so if someone, you know, if we see that in an email or someone tells you that, it's likely us. And if you have any questions about who to contact, just try contacting Kim or I first, and we'll let you know if that's something that we really assist with, or maybe that's a faculty specific decision, or what kind of entity can help you with that. So email communication. From now on, we will be abiding by the university policy, which is that students, faculty, and staff will only be communicating via your official U of A email address. Now, some people are far more strict about this. I do know some faculty members who say, if you don't email me from your official U of A email address, I won't reply. And that's just to really make sure that we're abiding by this university policy and that we know it's official university business. So I will also say, just be very careful if you are forwarding your email to a personal account. In the spirit of transparency and talking about tips for success, I will say it's probably not in your best interest to forward your U of A email account to a personal account. Now, Catmail is the official U of A email address system. It is linked through Google. And so oftentimes students who have personal Gmail accounts will want to forward one or the other. And I would be very cautious about that. What I would suggest is that you continuously check your Catmail account, and to help kind of stay organized, to set up folders and filtering systems to help with that. So to kind of dovetail on email communication, one of the main important things that we can tell you right now is to read your email. We send incredibly important information about your academics and deadlines, scholarships, everything over academic listservs, and maybe just to you specifically as a student if it's something that impacts you. So not reading your U of A email or having it forwarded and not coming through, or not checking your U of A email address enough is not an excuse for missing something. And this could be something small like, oh man, there was a seminar yesterday that I really wanted to go to and I totally missed that email, or something really important like, I've now missed the deadline to submit paperwork for internships, or I now have missed a deadline for graduation. So it is incredibly important. And what I will say, and some tips for managing your email, is to really prioritize emails that are directly related to your academics. So first and foremost, making sure that you read emails from your faculty in the different classes that you're in, your faculty mentor, program directors within the MPH program. And I would say also anyone in student services, me, Kim, Gisela, our admin, our assistant dean for student affairs, then classmates and group members. So if you're working in a group, you'll want to prioritize those emails as well. And then specific important university entities like financial aid, the registrar, the bursar's office, graduate college, et cetera. Those are also going to be other entities that could impact your academics. And so first and foremost, any email that is important to your academics is going to be high priority. So who does what at the U of A? If you are not familiar with U of A structure, maybe you're coming from a different university or you have been at the U of A prior, but it's been a while, we'll just do a quick refresher. And we always send this information out in emails as well. But the bursar's office. So when we talk about the bursar's office, this is the entity on campus that deals with payment, with billing of tuition costs. And so should you have any questions about those specific things, paying your tuition, setting up payment plans, if there's an error in billing, those sorts of things, those go to the bursar's office. The Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships is the entity that will talk about or give you information about loan and scholarship disbursement. Kim and I do not advise on financial aid, assistantships, anything like that. And so particularly if you're, asking questions about loans and those sorts of things, why hasn't it dispersed yet, or this is the wrong amount, anything like that, that should really go to the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. Then the registrar's office, and this is the entity that really deals with enrollment. So dates and deadlines for enrollment, policies and processes for getting enrolled. How do I get enrolled late? What happens if I drop past the refund deadline and those sorts of things at the registrar's office. And then a very important entity to bookmark and keep on hand is UITS, which is the University Technical and Email Support Service. So those are things like if your email suddenly stops working, like if it's been a couple of days and you haven't received any emails from anybody, there might be something up with your email. If you've sent Kim or I multiple messages and we haven't responded, it's been like a week or two and we haven't responded, then there's likely something that's going on. So you'll always kind of want to keep that if there's something going on with your D2L or your internet or something if you're on campus, if you have computer troubles, those sorts of things. Okay, so handbooks versus academic curriculum guides. This can be a tricky one for many students, but it's really important to understand the difference between these two very important documents. The handbook outlines college and university policies and processes. The handbook is updated yearly, and students will always follow the most current handbook. The academic curriculum guide is the document that outlines your academic requirements for the College of Public Health programs. Students follow the academic curriculum guide for the year that they entered their MPH program. So as a hint, yours will be the 2021-2022 academic curriculum guide. So what is important to know is throughout your time in the MPH program, you will always be following the 2021-2022 academic curriculum guide. Students who have come and entered before you are following previous year's academic curriculum guide. That is what Kim and I look at when we are determining what classes you need to take, what your degree requirements are when we're looking to make sure and see, are you ready to graduate and those sorts of things. The handbook for this academic year, you'll be following the 2021-22 handbook, but next year, all MPH students will move forward and follow the 2022-23 handbook, but your curriculum guide will stay the 21-22 curriculum guide. So sometimes it can be a little confusing because one updates yearly, one stays the exact same. The other thing to mention, and we try to be specific about this, is to download the academic curriculum guide, because within it, it has not only your degree requirements for the year that you enter, but it also has the sequencing. And so while in your welcome emails, you likely found the sequencing form on our website, the website updates yearly. So if you don't either save that specific document, it says very specifically on it, effective for students who are entering 2021-22. That's because it essentially is pulled out from the academic curriculum guide. So downloading that document versus visiting it on the website is going to be really important, because sometimes curriculum changes. There are a couple of changes that have been made in the last couple of years. And if students are looking at the sequencing document or the degree requirements that are posted on the website, they're not following their academic curriculum guide. And we run into problems when they think they're ready to graduate and they're missing degree requirements. So if you're ever in doubt, just make sure you go and visit the academic curriculum guide versus your like short sequencing document, because the sequencing is in there as well. But these are found on the hub, and it's under handbooks and curriculum guides. So we try to make it as easy as possible to find these two documents. The 2021-22 MPH handbook will be available at the start of the fall semester. We will email it out because it's applicable to all MPH students. So we'll send it over the MPH listserv, and then we'll also post it on the hub. So you'll be able to access it multiple ways. Okay. So competencies, we have MPH foundational and program specific competencies. For foundational competencies, these are implemented and required by the Council on Education for Public Health, CEF. So if you ever hear someone say CEF, that's what it is. That's our accreditation body. And it consists of 22 competencies across 8 different domains. So in the additional resources on the orientation D2L page, you can find a link to the MPH foundational competencies, and this is also on our website under like the main MPH academics page. There's a link that usually just says MPH competencies or MPH foundational competencies, and it pulls you up to the PDF for that. Now, in addition to foundational competencies that all MPH students meet and are introduced to throughout their courses, there are also program-specific competencies. So these are ones that are very specific to your MPH concentration. These are designated by the College of Public Health and the faculty, and what makes sense and what is really important for our MPH students to know and learn heading out into the workforce. These are also found on the College of Public Health website on your concentration academic page. Why is it important that we talk about competencies? It's really because you'll be utilizing these throughout your time in the MPH program. You will have to assess yourself multiple times while you're a student and beyond. And these are going to be things like the annual progress report for internship planning, your final internship and MPH report, on an exit survey when you're leaving and graduating. And these are also built into our alumni survey. And so it's really important to understand their importance. They'll be listed on your syllabi, and to be able to say like, I feel very confident that I have met this competency because maybe I recognize that it has been introduced in a couple different classes, or this is a really important thing that a student coming from EPI or health behavior health promotion really needs to be in the workforce. So pay attention to those. Oftentimes I will just say as an undergrad, they were always on syllabi. I had no idea what they meant. And it wasn't until I got into grad school and working in higher education that I really understood, oh, those are there for a reason. It's so I can look back and say, these are the types of things or skills or knowledge that I will be learning and being introduced to in this specific course. So one of the degree requirements and competency requirements from CEF is to work effectively on an interprofessional team. So part of the degree requirement for MPH students is that they all must complete interprofessional education activities. Now we call these IPE for short. So you'll see that in emails. You'll see that actually on this slide where it says IPE activities. So interprofessional education is IPE. So these are essentially interprofessional education is when a student is learning with and from people from other disciplines. So you are maybe at a specific event with nursing or pharmacy, medicine, education. Essentially, it just has to not be two disciplines under the public health umbrella, and where you're doing active learning with and from each other. So the degree requirement is that students must complete a minimum of 2 IPE activities during their time in the MPH program. We do not specify which specific activity you must attend in which semester. just from when you start until when you graduate, at least 2 IPE activities must be completed. At least one of these must be a University of Arizona Health Sciences sponsored activity. Now, we email these out. We meaning Kim and I, we do not coordinate these events. We don't put them on. There's a specific UAHS IPE department, and they put on really cool interprofessional education events like a pandemic flu event, a disabilities event. They are in the process of coming up with a couple of new ones, which I'm really excited about. We usually advertise them over the MPH listserv and through email multiple times when we have a save the date, and then again when registration opens. So we are definitely the provider of the information, and we are usually pretty specific. Like, this is a UAHS IPE activity, so that way you know if you're signing up for that, you are meeting this specific portion of the IPE requirement for your degree. There are a couple of academic articles on the hub that are required to read in advance. There is a web form that you complete, which is essentially an electronic form submission on the hub, and we provide information about this in email and everything like that. So we're not going to get too much into the weeds, but just kind of acknowledge that this is a non-credit bearing. You're not signing up for classes in U-Access or anything like that, but it is a degree requirement. And so you complete, after you complete an IPE activity, you complete an online electronic assessment, which kind of talks about your experience in that event, what other disciplines were there, and then those are reviewed and approved by your faculty mentor. So Kim and I provide information about the policy. We provide information about different kinds of activities that we hear about. And then we check to make sure that as you're getting ready to graduate, that this degree requirement is met, but we are not the entity to approve or say, this is sure, this event works, or we don't read your submission and say, yes, so we don't approve it or deny it. So that's just something to be very clear about, what our role is on this type of thing versus what your faculty mentor is in charge of. Okay, I will hand it over to Kim.
Oopsie, already skipping ahead. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick pause. I was going to say a breather, but it's not me who's doing the talking. A breather for Tanya, and just see if there are any questions on the information Tanya has covered thus far. Anything burning where you feel like you're not going to be able to focus until you have that question answered?
I just have one question.
Sure.
How soon of a notice do you usually give out for an IPE? So I'm guessing maybe a week or two in advance or something like that.
No, it's usually much further in advance than that. Typically especially the UAHS events, they're usually planned semesters in advance. And so we try to send the save the dates as soon as we have them. And oftentimes it's months in advance. And when we have the save the date, so we get it to you literally as soon as we get it. And then oftentimes registration might not open up until 3 weeks before the event, 4 weeks before the event, but you can already have it blocked on your calendar, and then we'll send out that registration reminder. Other events that we might hear about that are non-UAHS, we share as we get them. We do send a Friday, so starting the fall semester, we'll send Friday what we call digest emails, and it's kind of like a summary of all of the things we have received throughout the week. And let me tell you, it's a lot. So instead of sending you 400 emails, not that many, I promise, but we consolidate everything into a digest and we organize it into sections so that every Friday you'll have an email where you can check for things like IPE events, workshops, seminars, etc. But one of your events has to be UAHS. The other can be many things that you hear about. And oftentimes those are the great events that are what we call South Campus. So they might be with other departments that are not health sciences related. Where having you as your perspective as a health person would be really valuable. And you would learn from other professions like education, like Tanya mentioned, or others. So if you hear about great events that are open to other students, we would love for you to share those with us, so then we can in turn share them with others. So yeah, much more than a week's notice. And remember, you only have to do 2. That's the minimum. Absolutely, you can do more than that. But just UAHS offers around 4 to 6 a year. So if you are only even participating in UAHS events, you have the opportunity to do them twice. So that's already 8 in 2 years' time. So the 2 is really a fairly minimal requirement. So we think that's probably okay. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so now I am going to talk about something that has probably been burning in all of your minds, the internship, or also known as the applied practice experience. And there's a little bit of a difference between the two. And I'm going to give you another acronym. So Tanya gave you IPE. I gift you with APE. So it's applied practice experience. Again, our accrediting body, CEEF, requires all MPH students from all accredited schools complete an applied experience in a community setting. And so what this experience looks like is you're doing work with an agency or a project or a program, and you're completing at least 2 agency-based deliverables. So you are providing them with work that's documentable and packageable in a deliverable way. And those are mapped to these competencies that Tanya mentioned. So again, this allows us and you and the accrediting body to track progress from knowledge-based in the classroom to skill-based in a community setting, which is incredibly important for an MPH degree. So you map them to both foundational and concentration competencies. And again, we're not going to get too into the weeds with internships, but I'm giving you a taste of it. So that internship experience can fulfill all or part of what we call the applied practice experience. Now, for most students, the internship and the APE are synonymous. It is the same thing. We have a couple of concentrations that allow a couple of outside internship experiences to count as applied practice settings. Those are usually classroom-based experiences where the student is actually working with an agency for a class requirement. And so don't worry too much about which one your group falls into, because you're going to do some sort of internship no matter what, okay? We don't do placement, and that's for a few reasons. One, that I think is the primary reason, is that we want your experience to be just that, your experience. We want it to fulfill the knowledge that you want, the skills you want. How do you want to build your resume? Where do you want to network? Where do you want to intern? All of that. So we don't want to place you in maybe an experience that would be less than desirable for you because it matched 1 or 2 characteristics. That being said, we have a very long list of advertised projects that we advertise every semester, both semester-based and also agencies that are open to year-round experiences or experiences at different points. You will hear from agencies during seminars. You can network with agencies via your faculty mentor, via at events you attend, conferences you have attended. I had a number of students this year get internships from attending virtual conferences and then networking following those conferences. So we think that you really can develop an experience on your own in consultation with your faculty mentor that is a much more beautiful, well-rounded experience for yourself than us doing placement. I also think oftentimes students are coming to the MPH program with some really either specific goals in mind or having had some experiences before. And so you know your resume best, for lack of a better phrase. You know what you need to do, or you'll learn what you need to do to make yourself an attractive candidate for that next job. And your internship, your APE experience helps you with that. So when you get a chance and you head on to check out the curriculum guides that Tanya mentioned, on your concentration sheets, you'll see any prerequisite courses for doing your internship experience. Internship falls under 909 units. So if you see prerequisite for PHP 909, that's prerequisite for your internship experience. We do think that it's really important for you to think about your internship now without stressing too much about your internship now. And I know maybe that is me asking for the moon in some ways. But we want you to think about it in terms of your timeline. So are you on a 2-year track? Are you a part-time student who's on a 4-year track? When are you hoping to do your internship, and how does that align with what your concentration recommends? And so that you can best map out with us courses to try to start internship if it's earlier than recommended by your concentration. How can you fulfill requirements so that you're ready? Or if you work full time and you're thinking, how am I going to bring this into my internship? Tanya and I are happy to help you think through that. Most students follow the concentration timeline. or the concentration check sheets. Most full-time students who are going to complete the program in 2 years follow it pretty closely. Sometimes that internship shifts a little bit. So we want you thinking about it and actively networking and thinking about experiences throughout the fall semester. For almost all of you, if you are coming into this program without significant, like you didn't do the certificate and you don't have significant non-degree seeking courses, you're not ready to intern until the summer at the earliest, usually. So you have time, but don't forget to spend some of the time this fall semester thinking about what you want to do so you can spend half of spring semester planning for that summer internship or summer planning for that fall internship. Okay, so we have a self-paced course. I think, is that on the next slide? I've already skipped ahead, Tanya. You should have told me. Here I am. So it is required for all MPH students. Don't get super stressed about it right now, but work on making those connections, talking to faculty, guest speakers. You have probably seen it on your course sequencing sheet, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. So start planning early. Paperwork can take up to 4 weeks because there is a human subjects process that you have to follow, and that can take some time. So when you are getting ready to plan for your internship, so if you want to do your internship in the summer, you should be actively planning for it, networking, making phone calls, applying, interviewing for internships mid-spring so that you can meet that May deadline that we have, okay? International internships or international students need to begin planning earlier because there's additional travel paperwork or international paperwork that must be completed. Keep your eyes and ears open, engage in those opportunities in the fall semester, and truly take ownership of the planning process. We're not a placement program. We send out lots of reminders like, hey, if you're going to plan an internship, you want to start in summer, this is what we need you to do. But ultimately, I'm not going to knock on your door. Tanya's not going to knock on your door and say, well, you needed to be in an internship to graduate on time. So this is your MPH degree, and you have to really think of it as such. So take ownership of that planning process with your faculty member. Coordinate meetings, be proactive, be responsible, and be professional. You know, I have, in my 11 years in this position, it has been very, very rare that I have seen a student truly struggle to find an experience that works for them if they started planning early, and to do amazing work at those experiences and to just build amazing connections. So the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. And but we don't want you, you know, being so stressed that you're sending me an email saying, okay, it's day one, how do I do my internship now? Can you please tell me? Now, I'm happy to chat through that with you, but I'm probably going to say a lot of what I just said, which is take a deep breath, think about what you want to do, engage in opportunities that get you closer to being able to get the internship you want, but take a deep breath because there's nothing you can do for it right this second, okay? But we know it's a lot of interest, and that's because it's super important to the degree. So we're happy you're interested in it. We do have a workshop. I know you have seen it. If you've looked at your concentration check sheet, you've seen this non-credit bearing, non-fee based workshop that we tell you you need to do. It's not a class. It truly is a self-paced workshop. It's a recorded presentation along with a manual and a quiz. And so it's usually on that first fall semester as recommended that that's when you do it. But truly we recommend that you do it either towards the end of the fall semester or in spring semester if you're planning that summer internship. Things can change. And so the reason we don't want you doing it right this second is because if rules change, process change, faculty change, IRB changes, we have to change that manual and that workshop for you so you have the correct information. So if you complete it this fall semester and then you don't end up wanting to intern until your last spring semester, you're going to have to redo the workshop. So it's self-paced. It's a couple of hours of your time, and we host live Q&As. So every semester, if you're ready for the internship workshop and you've done it, and then you still have questions, Tanya and I both host a couple live Q&As during the semester to be able to answer those questions for you. And then, of course, we're here to answer other questions for you offline, so to speak. But definitely, before you launch into sending Tanya and I a list of like 15 questions about the internship planning process, if you do, we're going to send you an email that says, have you done the workshop yet? And if you haven't, we're going to tell you to do that first, because it truly does answer a lot of the very basic questions. So then our time can be spent with you answering specific questions. Kyle wants to know, where do we find the internship workshop? That's going to be in the hub under internship resources. And there gives you a guide, a list of things that you need to do. So again, if you wanted to take a look at it now, you certainly can. If you're not ready to intern until the summer, we would highly suggest you wait until spring, early spring, to actually finish the workshop. But the manual is up there for you to read. It's in the hub, so it is all there for you to peruse. If you're just so curious you can't wait, 100% have at it. I'm never going to tell you not to learn something. Tanya.
I will also just say that we send emails at the start of pretty much every semester. So anybody who hasn't started an internship, we send an email. So that may mean that for a couple of semesters, you received this email from us and you're not ready yet, or you're not planning on starting your internship, but at least you know in advance, we will be sending this kind of email. Essentially, the subject line says, are you planning a insert term here internship? So the first one that we're going to be sending in the fall semester is, are you planning a spring 2022 internship? Please read. And then everybody who receives that email, who's planning to start their internship in the spring, has a list of all of the things that they have to complete, some reminders, where to look to complete all of the different items for the internship prep workshop, everything like that. So in addition to just it also being on the hub for you to look at, we also send reminder emails, and usually a few throughout the semester with a very clear subject line. And that term will change. So then in the spring semester, we'll start sending emails that say, are you planning a summer 2022 internship? Please read. So if you're planning to start your internship in summer, you'll start getting those emails. You'll want to start paying attention to those.
Exactly. So again, back to what Tanya mentioned, email is really important. Make sure you read those if that pertains to you, so that you can see what it's all about. Okay. So integrated learning experience. So we gave you IPE, I've gifted you APE, and now I'm going to give you an ILE. So welcome to the world of acronyms. So this integrated learning experience is a capstone course required for all MPH students. It's a 1-unit online course taught in fall and spring. You should take it in the last semester of your program. So for most of you, that will be spring 2023. Is that right? Oh my gosh. Yes, 2023. So if you're a part-time student, that may look different. And it's a case-based course. It brings together students from all the MPH concentrations. So you're working in these public health interdisciplinary groups to solve public health issues, as you would in the real world. And it has been taught thus far by one of our faculty who has worked in the real world doing public health work, and as a physician, and has a master's degree in public administration, and so has a really good perspective on what that really looks like. So quick summary: IP, interprofessional education, 2 events, you submit assessments. APE is applied experience. For most students, that's the internship, and you complete deliverables mapped to competencies. ILE is the 1-unit capstone taken in your last semester of your program. So you'll see these different things throughout your time, different emails, in the newsletters, and on your course sequencing sheets. And so these are 3 of the really central parts and things that are common to all MPH students, regardless of concentration. So it's cool to be different. Not all programs are the same. Concentrations vary quite a bit. So you might have different policies within a concentration, certainly different requirements. Not all students are the same. So you might be in a class with students from a different concentration, very common, and they might be talking about class that they have to take. Just remember, that might not be you. You might be with students from your same concentration who are part-time students doing the program in 2 or 3 or 4 years, who have different requirements than you do. So we want you to really focus on thinking about what you are required to do. If you're confused, while it's great to network with your student colleagues, talk to myself or Tanya, talk to us to say, okay, I need clarification on policies, process, procedures, or my progress. What does this degree look like for me? So that you can make sure you're on track and not kind of going off the rails because you heard something from someone who did something. Are the seminar classes different than the capstone class? Yes, seminar classes are different than capstone classes. Capstone's required for everybody. It's 580 is the course number, and depending on your program, the prefix is different. Seminar classes are usually built into your program. They may be required by your concentration. They may not be, but they may be, you may choose to take them as optional seminar classes. And then we have what are just called seminars, which are like guest speakers who come to share information about what they're doing. So
I
there's,
just wanted to
Yeah.
verify that because I noticed one of them, the seminars are still a 1 credit class. I just didn't know if that was considered a capstone or not because
nope, yep, your
my
capstone
first
is
year
580.
recommends to take that.
If it's required by your concentration, yes, take it. If
Okay.
it's something you're interested in taking that's not required by your concentration, yes, take that. And
Okay.
the 580 you definitely will have to take.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So again, it's cool to be different. Make sure that you are talking to us when you need clarification about what we call those 4 Ps of your MPH degree. Now, this is your graduate degree. Tanya and I, as we mentioned, are both alums. So we have lots of perspective and context and information to give, both from a professional perspective, but also as alums. But we did our degree. Now it's your turn. So make sure you're taking, like I mentioned, take ownership of this degree. You get in what you put out. No, you get out what you put in. Took me a second there, sorry. And so if you put in lots of energy, you take extra seminars, you go to workshops, you do more IPE, you really engage, you go to conferences, and you fully participate as much as you can in what the college and the university have to offer, you will get more out of the degree than if you sit in your class, earn your grades, and move on. And I 100% can attest to that. I have had students who did great. They took their classes, they got 4.0 GPAs, and boy, did they struggle to find jobs because they didn't do some of the other things they needed to do to really build who they are as a professional. So make sure you're doing that. Get involved. We have clubs, we have organizations. You'll learn more about that as we go. Challenge yourself and build your skills. Really look at your resume and look at the job you think you want in a few years and see where you need to build yourself as a professional. Think about that all along the way and keep that resume up to date. So if a job opens up, you're ready to apply. That's a total side note that was not planned part of the presentation, but do it because you will be so happy you did. That is all we have for the planned portion of today. And I think we are right on time, but we are here for if you have questions, and we can hang out for another 5-10 minutes. Really, as long as you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Tanya will as well. So now's your chance. If you have other questions, keep in mind, this was just one session. You have a lot more sessions to go for the month of August where you'll learn more about being a MPH professional, being a public health professional, what that needs to look like in terms of social justice and value and who you are and what you want. And then you'll learn more about your programs the morning of August 20th when you get to meet with your faculty in your concentration breakfasts.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
When it comes to the IPEs, would you say that the majority of them are at the Tucson campus, the main campus, or is there a good mix of both?
Yeah, so the events hosted by the UAHS are hosted cross campus. So there's always a Phoenix component. I know that you're a Phoenix student, Lauren. Yes, the Phoenix students can participate live. This last year, they did everything remotely, and I expect that they will continue to offer some remote options because I think that worked out really well for students. In the past, like the pandemic event, for instance, brought Tucson and Phoenix together via our amazing teleconference systems. So it was one huge event. Other events are local, and here in Phoenix, while we sometimes feel like we miss out on things that happen on the Tucson campus, we're also the center of the state, and so there's so many other trainings and conferences and things happening here that likely would count as IPE events. But yeah, the UHS events are cross-campus collaborations.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I see we have questions in the chat. Okay, bye, Raleigh. Hopefully I said that right. Okay, other questions? We're still here. So if you have to go, please feel free. You won't offend us.
I had a quick question.
Yeah, Kyle.
So I'm in Tucson, so I assume Tanya, is she in charge of everybody? Is there, if there's not like an A through H or?
She is the boss of everyone. Yeah, I'll let Tanya answer that.
Right, all Tucson-based programs. I am the MPH coordinator. I'm your academic advisor. Yeah, I don't split letters or anything like that. So yes, if you are in a Tucson-based program, I'm your lady.
Okay, and then as far as scheduling appointments to see you, when's the earliest possible time we could start linking up with you to kind of go over the whole degree program?
That's a good question. So Kim and I handle our own meeting schedules, and an email is perfectly fine. Usually we will provide our current availability and determine what makes sense with the individual student's schedule. And then we'll set up, at this point in time, setting up a Zoom link to meet virtually.
Okay, so it would be through Zoom, not in person?
At this point in time, yes.
Okay.
As that changes, we will definitely let students know if we start doing meetings in person, how that will look. If we do sort of like drop-in advising, which are usually like for shorter kind of quick questions versus a full meeting, which we, you know, maybe if we're talking about like your completion timeline or a very like lengthy thing, that's usually a meeting. But right now we are continuing virtual meetings. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for all the answers.
Yes, of course.
Other questions? Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned the hub. Is that not on D2L or is that not through D2L? Because I don't know.
No, great question, Adam. No, the hub is separate. The hub is our internal. So D2L is the university's course management site, Desire to Learn. The hub is our internal College of Public Health site, where it's like our intranet. So it's hub.coph.arizona.edu, and then you'll log in with your NetID credentials. And so that's where you'll be able to access information that we post about internships. There's other student forums there. It is not, we don't use it a lot other than for sort of information. It's an information hub, hence the term hub. There won't be things that we ask you to do there other than submissions of IPE, APE, and like student graduation surveys. So that's where we'll put that. Your normal class functions are all like any courses, that's all going to be D2L if you have an online component to your courses. So 2 separate systems.
Okay.
There is a module in D2L, which will introduce you to the hub and walk you through various sectors of the hub and different, ask you to find different things on the hub so you become very familiar with it before school even starts. So while we're talking about it, we might accidentally be putting the cart before the horse a little bit in this, depending on how far you've gotten in your D2L modules for new student orientation. But there is a specific section in there to help you all get very familiar with it.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
I'll also mention, Adam, just because I happen to know you're a Tucson-based HSA student, you will work with me primarily, especially while we're doing virtual visits. Really the only HSA students who have worked with Tanya along the way are those that just absolutely needed to be face-to-face with the person to understand. But for the most part, I work with all HSA students regardless of campus. So you'll still work with me in terms of coordinating and advising. I don't think I saw any other Tucson HSA students today.
Okay, I'm the only one. Dang.
I know, but you're representing well, so thank you.
Okay, sweet.
Other questions? Excellent. Well, up on the slide, you have our contact information, you have our email addresses. Like Tanya mentioned, we manage our own calendars. So just email us if you are looking to schedule an appointment to talk about course sequencing and things like that. We can set up appointments via Zoom or phone, whatever your preference might be. And in terms of, if you're asking about sort of some general things, I would suggest you try to get through part 1 of the orientation, all the stuff, the asynchronous stuff from part 1, because that will give you a much better perspective on some of like where to find the hub and where to do those things. And so if you could complete part 1 before you set up an appointment to talk with us, I think that would be to your best advantage, and then use our time together to go over the more important things. Okay, chat. All right, thank you so much, Lauren. All right. We're all done for today unless there's any other burning questions, and we hope to see you at the session on Tuesday, the 10th.
All right. Thank you so much. Hope you all have a great day.
Thank you.